Have you ever had a near-death experience? I am sharing mine today, and I believe I counted 10 while I was recording, but I'll have to recount. Come along for this journey, and let's find out why I'm still here. Hey friends, Michele here with Choosing to Shine. How was everyone's week? What's going on? What have you been doing for your nervous system? What have you been watching? For me, as always, I'm really focusing on journaling, and I actually got a new workbook from my therapist that I haven't started yet. So I'm kind of excited to sit down when I had a couple days when I have some time and go through that workbook, and I'll share with you guys if I think that it was helpful, which I think it will be just flipping through it. As usual, I already lit my candle to set an intention of connection through deep conversations. Oh man, it's hot in here today, and I forgot to turn on the air. I just realized that. All right. So a couple things I wanted to share. I was sharing with a friend this week. I was like, man, I feel like I've almost died. I gotta be out of my 9 cat lives. I don't know. I need to write all this down. And then I remembered that I kind of wrote it down when I was doing like a rough draft of my memoir. But also she was here at the house, and she asked me for a tissue, and I wanted to show you guys my tissue box because this was one of the times I almost got seriously hurt and or lost my life. So this tissue box was sitting on a shelf in the bathroom, and our home was flooded during Hurricane Milton. So we had all these industrial heavy duty fans and humidifiers, and the house is old. It's like 30 years old. So the bathroom mirror, which is like, I don't even know how big it is, maybe like 3 by 6 or something. It's really huge piece of glass. Fell off the wall while I was cleaning, and this is what that huge piece of glass fell into. It had like a few tissues in it at that time, and I've kept it for 2 years to remind myself that that's kind of a miracle. Like this little box saved me from that thing crashing on my head. So I wanted to share that with you guys. So I'm going to kind of read from some notes because I do have my memoir notes pulled up, and I didn't want to forget anything. So I talked about a couple episodes ago about the night that the drug dealers came and shot up our home while we were sleeping when I was a kid. So now we're at 2. Let's see. We, as I've alluded to many times, I was a feral child, had no supervision. We were out running the streets at like probably 2 to 4 a.m. I'm not sure. And we're ding dong ditching, basically where you ring someone's doorbell and run and hide in a ditch. But there wasn't a ditch where we were. So there goes Chloe making her nest, getting comfortable. And this old neighbor guy, he came out and he yelled out. He's like, "I know it's you kids," and he shot like at us, like we were behind some bushes, but I guess he could kind of see us or hear us. and he had a shotgun. So he literally shot at us and we like all went running. So that's 3. Oh, my phone turned off. So I was kidnapped twice. So that's 5. The first time I was grabbed in some woods, again, no supervision, was somewhere I shouldn't have been. And this is kind of interesting. Like when I tell these stories, I always kind of had, you want to call it an intuition on how to act. So when I'm in a situation, I kind of feed off the other person. So in this situation, when I was grabbed in the woods, and I was in the woods because I was cutting through, right? I was late for dinner. Actually, this time my dad was home, so I was supposed to be home at a certain time. Usually my mom, it didn't matter. So I'm like cutting through these woods, and this guy like jumps out, and I'm pushing my bike through like a creek, and he jumped out and he grabbed my bike, and I became like very timid, which wasn't my personality. But I just felt like that was the right thing to do in that situation. And, like, oh, like, please don't hurt me, like kind of cowering. And he kind of looked at me like disappointed. So I think he wanted like a fight. And then he's like, go on and get out of here. And he like pushed my bike over and he took off running. So, I just hopped on my bike and like pedaled as fast as I could. And my legs were shaking so bad from adrenaline. And I was still like probably 20 minutes from home. Like I was pretty far away. And I was just like pumping as quick as I could go. And then, of course, my mom's like, hey, like you were expected home for dinner. Where were you? And I didn't tell her. I just said I was over, which I was. I didn't lie, but I said I was over at with a friend. They were playing baseball, and their dad took my bike and took us to the ball field, which was a true story. And I was in an area that I wasn't quite familiar with. So I had to go, once the thing in the woods happened, I was pretty short in the woods. So I just turned around and went back to the main road and had to go like all the way around, like miles and miles. So I didn't tell a lie. I just left out the part that I was in the woods and was almost kidnapped. Another time, a friend of mine, actually the friend who visited the other day, we were going to visit somebody and we were walking and it was starting to get dark. And so we decided it'd be a good idea for 2 teenagers to hitchhike. So this guy, older guy in a truck, picked us up, and we told him where we wanted to go, which was her house. And actually my mom was playing poker over in that neighborhood, so I was just going to show up over there. And then we were closer to there than I was to going back home, so I was just going to go over there and say, like, a friend dropped us off, like, can you, when you're done, take me home, kind of thing. But he kept, we were like, this is the turn. And he's like, no, I don't think so. And so it was like him driving. We were all in the front seat because it was a truck. My friend was in the middle, and then I was on the end, and I turned and looked at her, and she just like froze. And she's just like looking straight ahead. Like she knows like something's coming. And I just started wailing on him and like cussing and like, MFer, like, you better like let us go. And I'm like beating him. and grabbing the steering wheel, and my friend's just like sitting there, like staring straight and trying to, not be in the way. And he basically told us that we were a bunch of crazy bitches, and he kind of pulled over at the gas station and came to a rolling stop, and we jumped out. And yeah, that was very frightening. So that was the first and the last time I ever hitchhiked. And I think I was only probably, I don't know, maybe I was like 14 or 15 by that time. We were still really young. And also that same day, this isn't a death story, but on that same day, we were walking in a really bad neighborhood, and this undercover cop came over, and he's like, "What are y'all doing down here?" And we're like, "Oh, we're walking to a friend's house." And he's like, "No, not in this neighborhood, you're not." And we're like, "Yeah, like it's just right up the road. We'll be okay." And we were actually going to get some pot, right? So we didn't want the cops to take us there. So he said, "No, I'm not taking no for an answer." So I was like, "Okay," and I didn't want to make it weird. Like, "Well, no, now you can take us up to the 7-Eleven," because then he would know, right, that something was going on when I already told him where we were going. So he drove us down there, and the guy was like, "What the hell? You brought the cops up here?" I'm like, "Didn't have a choice. Sorry." So we didn't get anything. So yeah, that was bad. There was another situation kind of in that same neighborhood where we were also trying to get drugs, and we were in a car with someone we knew this time. Actually, I think I was by myself. I don't think my friend was with me this time. So I grew up in Jacksonville on the west side, and there used to be this one store you could go to, and everybody was just hanging out. And then I don't remember what the code word was, but you said you were looking for somebody, and that meant what you wanted. And then that person would call on the payphone and call over to the other payphone that was across the street. And then that person would signal, this was before cell phones, that person would signal to someone in the woods. It was like a whole system. So you pulled into the woods, and this is a different set of woods than the other woods I was just talking about. You would pull into the woods, you would pay someone, and then you would keep driving, and then someone else would give you, so they didn't have the money and the pot together, right? Well, we the guys that were sitting in the front, I was sitting in the back. It was before air conditioning was in cars. And we paid the money. We drive through, go to the next person. And the guy's like, what did you pay for? And the driver told him. And he goes, "Well, I'll refund your money if you leave her with me here in the woods." And we kind of laughed it off, like, "Haha, that's funny, And he goes, "No, I'm not joking." And he like grabbed me by my hair. I had really long hair. It was like down to my butt. And he grabbed me by my hair and started trying to pull me like out the window. And I remember just kind of turning and putting my feet up on the door and like pushing. And I'm like, "Go, go, go. I'll give you your money back. Just go." And yeah, I like lost a lot of hair. So, well, I don't even know. What are we up to? 6. So let's see. A couple years after that, I was at a friend's house. We were having a pool party, and I did smoke a lot of pot back then, but I didn't do anything at that time. I didn't really do any other kind of drugs. And a lot of people back then, they also grew like for their own personal use, even though it wasn't legal. It wasn't really that frowned upon, you know, early 80s, late 70s. So anyway, a friend of mine had gotten a couple joints, and we were smoking them, sharing, and we went over to this pool party, which was right next door. And I was just sitting there and I was like, wow, like, I don't think I've ever been this high. Like, I don't feel right. And then I don't know, like, I remember just kind of sitting there and like not knowing what was happening around me, but I felt really euphoric at the same time. Like, I didn't feel scared. And then somebody came over to the picnic table and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like, I think I'm just really high. Like, I don't know." They're like, "Come go swimming. You got to go home soon. So that'll sober you up." And I remember I was standing on the edge of the pool and I looked down into the deep end. It was a beautiful Florida summer day. The water was glistening. Everybody was yelling and having fun. And the barbecue grill was going and the music was playing. It was like a perfect summer day. And I was like, wow, like that is the most beautiful water I've ever seen. And I jumped into the deep end. And then when I went down, I always like to touch the bottom and do flips and stuff. I'm a really good swimmer. And I went down to the bottom, and when I got down there, I looked up and I could see, because the water was moving so fast because there was so many people in the pool. And I was like, this is really beautiful. I think I want to stay here forever. And so I just stayed there, like looking around. And then the next thing I know, I was like laying on the side of the concrete on the pool, and everybody was like over me yelling. And I was like, what's happening? And they're like, you almost drowned. Like, what's going on? So they like took me back next door to my friend's house, who actually, I don't think that friend was, yeah, that friend was with me, but we went back next door. And her mom was home, and the mother knew that we smoked, right? So she's like, I don't know what happened. Like, Lori's like really messed up. And it was kind of like pieces of my memories gone from that day. But I remember her mom like giving me coffee, which I didn't drink. She was trying to get me to drink water. She's like, you're late. Like, your mom's coming here to get you. And I said, no, just tell her that you'll bring me home later, that I'm not feeling good. I have a stomach bug. And so my mom, she was, or her mother, her name was Tina. Her mother was like, you know, like, you gotta wake up, like putting water on my face. And she told Tina to call the person she got the joints from and find out if something got mixed up or what had happened. He goes, oh, are you having a good time? Put a little something extra in there for you guys. I don't even remember what they told me it was. I was so out of it. That was pretty scary. So anyway, my mom ended up coming, and I just acted like, I mean, I didn't really act like, I was super out of it. And I was like, oh, my stomach hurts so bad. Like, you know, I just want to sleep. Just let me sleep. They'll take me home later. And she actually left me there. I was surprised because I think she thought I was going to throw up in her car. So she left me there. So I don't remember, but I remember two people walking me home. I don't remember who it was, but they were basically like holding me up, and it was quite a long walk too. So I got home and my mom wasn't there. So, and I didn't wake up till, gosh, I don't know. It was like the next afternoon. My mom was like, wow, like, you know, that was a bad stomach bug. And I was like, yeah, that was. was like, oh my God. So that was kind of the first introduction of, I don't know if it was LSD or I don't know what was in it, but I was pretty careful after that. I became the expert roller of the group because I wanted to know what was in there, right? So um I didn't want someone else to be able to sprinkle something in. So, let's see, what else? So I had a tubal pregnancy when I was 16. I didn't know I was pregnant. It was 4th of July. We were at the beach with my parents and my boyfriend, who later became my husband. And I just started having a lot of cramps, and we were like way out. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Mayport area. I'm sorry, I'm filming kind of late. I just realized the sun's going down and the lighting's getting really bad in here. I apologize. So we had to drive like over an hour. Plus, it was a holiday, right? So I don't know how long it took to get back over to the other side of town, which was the hospital close to the house. And they said that it was like very, very close to rupturing, which would have been very bad. I was in the hospital for quite a while, which my parents were so upset. They just left me there. I think it was like 4 or 5 days, and nobody came to see me at all. They were just so upset. Let's see what else. So I had hepatitis as a kid. I think I was in the second grade. Yeah, second grade. Somebody had come to the house, and apparently I picked up something, body fluids, in my own bathroom, and very, very ill. And I remember my aunt came over, my Aunt Shirley, and she was like, this kid is really sick. Somebody needs to take her to the hospital. And they're like, oh, no, like, she'll be okay. And they're like, no, like, something's not right with her. So I've been sick for like a week already. And so thank God Aunt Shirley probably saved my life. I'm not keeping track, but I think that's like 9 times. So I guess I'm already out in my 9 cat lives. And then let's see, what was something else? Oh yeah. And then when I was pregnant with my twin girls, when I was 27, I had almost a perfect pregnancy, even though they were twins, but I was on bed rest because I was having like early cramps, but my liver failed. They said it could have been from the hepatitis I had as a kid, but there wasn't like a lot known about the condition. I'm actually written up in a medical journal somewhere. I've never looked for it, but there were, when they figured out what was happening, like literally probably 30 people come rushing into my room all at the same time. And I was like, I got so scared. I just grabbed the blankets and like pulled them up over my head. I'm like, what is happening? And then they're like, we're really sorry, but we're like a what do you call it? Like a training hospital. And nobody has ever seen this before. Like there's only been like 4 cases in the whole United States that was documented or something. So, like a lot of people's going to be following this. Unfortunately, you're going to get worse before you get better. We do have to take the babies, which were 6.5 weeks early. They were fine. They just had some oxygen and breathing and eating issues. So they were tube fed for a while. But I was in the ICU. Let's see. They were there 14 days in the hospital. And I went home like 2 days before that. So I was in the hospital for 12 days as well. So I was within probably an hour of passing. It was pretty bad. And I was yellow for a long time. I was really sick. So I couldn't like breastfeed or anything like that until, I want to say, till they were like 4 months old or something like that. It was a long time because I had like morphine and like all these chemicals in my body. It was pretty bad. That's all I can think of right now. I think that's all down. So I think that was 10. I'm going to count back though. I'm going to rewatch this back. I'm going to count back and I'll list them out. Yeah, I think that was, I mean, there was a lot of other things like the guy I talked about a couple, like 2 episodes ago that, was trying to abuse me. And like, there was always something going on because I was just out in public with no supervision. So, and doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing. So let's pull a card. As you know, every week I pull a reflection card and I answer it. I mean, I told you guys a lot of quick stories there. I guess I could, let's see. I'm going to go with this shiny one right here. All right, let's see what this is. What's something about you that most people don't know and you're willing to share? So if you guys want to journal, go ahead and jot that down. I'll read it again. What's something about you that people don't know and that you're willing to share? Well, all 10 of those stories, I don't talk about things like that to people that I meet. I kind of made it a point when I moved from Jacksonville to Brooksville to get married, and then we moved to Tampa. I kind of made it like a point at that time that I was going to kind of leave all that dysfunction and drama behind me. Excuse me. And not get into trouble anymore. Like lead a nice, quiet life. So all of those stories, that's the only person who knows most of those stories is my friend who was here a couple days ago. And I've known her since I was 10 years old in the 5th grade. We met in the 5th grade. So I may get her on here, but I don't know. I'm kind of worried that there's like so many stories and this is unedited, right? So we're going to have to like keep it tame. Yeah, we were pretty wild. Maybe I'll talk to her about that. So, something else that I shared today, I was on the phone with a friend and, I don't even remember how we got started. Oh, she was saying we were talking about our personalities. Our I don't know if you guys have done the Myers-Briggs personality test. And I told her, I said, I'm pretty sure you're an INFJ, which is what I am. And I have found that I attract those, that personality type. And it's like the rarest one. It's like 1% of the population. But I probably know like 12 people who are that, whether it's on Facebook, my Facebook page, or in person. So we just kind of, I think we're attracted to each other, like that personality type, because we're very odd and rare. And she had mentioned that another friend of hers may be as well, that she was going to send her the test. And I can post the, if you guys want to take the test for free, I'll post it. And then you guys can comment what you are if you don't know already. And she goes, she's whatever like I am, but she's also like, I will cut you. And I said, that's so funny because this actually came up in a team meeting where people were like, the manager asked, like, what's something that nobody would ever guess about you? And I said, you guys see me as like the granola, crunchy, eating healthy food, Reiki healer, I have crystals on my desk. And I said, but I will also, like, I'm from the hood. Like, I fought a lot. Like, I will fight you and I will, like, I went to school with an ice pick in my bag. So what I used to do is, because I lived in a really rough neighborhood and I had to take 2 city buses to get to my high school. And there was a lot of walking involved in that too. So I used to, whenever I get a new bag, I would take like let me set this down. I would take like the zipper, where you open the zipper and then you have the lining. I would take the stitching out on the side of the lining, like in the corner, and then I would stitch it back. I'd put an ice pick in there that had it had a cover on it. So it was wooden, it had ice pick, and then the cover was wooden as well. I'd put that down in the bag and then I'd stitch it up very lightly. So if my bag was ever searched, like at school, they wouldn't find anything. But if I was in trouble, I could literally just like punch my fingers through it and get to what I needed. So there was no way I was going to school without some type of weapon. It was just too dangerous. I never had to use it. So thank God. That was a question that my friend asked me earlier. I didn't have to use it, but yeah, there's just a lot of stuff like that. So I don't know. That's why I'm writing a book, right? I'm like, just so many changes. Like, you just never know what someone's been through in their life. And it's not like I'm trying to hide it, but I just didn't want any part of that. I just wanted to put all that behind me, not talk about it, forget about it. But then when I started like going through this healing journey, it's like you can't just stuff it down, right? You have to look at all of those things that happened and say, that's a part of me. Like, I can't get rid of it. There was a lot of trauma there, right? So I have to deal with it. So I mentioned, I don't know, did I mention it on my last podcast, or maybe I did a separate reel on Instagram, that this is therapy for me. I've talked to my therapist about this. Like, I feel like because I have to explain a story in so much more detail, instead of like, oh yeah, like this guy tried to kidnap me in his truck and this guy like grabbed me in the woods and no telling what he wanted to do. Like, if I'm thinking about that story, it's different than if I have to tell somebody the story who's never heard it. So then there's like, since I'm building a picture, there's like so much more detail and feelings and things that come up. And then when I'm done recording, then I can kind of go sit down, reflect, write some more about that. And that's all going to be in the book, right? So this is healing for me. I hope that it's healing for you. That's the whole point here. Honestly, some days I don't know if I would even get out of bed. Like, I just feel like this is so much of a calling for me to share these stories, even though I'm like super uncomfortable doing so. Because if I can just help one person, like, say, like, oh my God, girl, like, yeah, I see that story. Like, I live that life too. And, maybe they reach out to me and, they see something in my story and I can help them with some kind of advice. And that's why I'm here. So you guys reach out. Let me know your stories. Let me know what else you'd like to see, what else you'd like to hear about. I am also working on that private group. So, what do you want that to look like? Like I want to get off, not really get off social media, but social media is like so toxic right now and all the stuff that's going on in the world. I just don't want to be, especially on Facebook. So I think that is it for this month. Again, if you want a copy of that, the live living document that I'm building from the transcripts of all the podcasts, you can comment below or send me a DM and I will send you a link. No spam, nothing. Like I might ask you guys if you want to be in the newsletter and that's it. Like I'm not one of those people. I hate getting 5 emails a day from the same company. I would never ever do that to you guys, I promise. And I had a friend that wanted one of my mugs. The friend I talked to earlier, she's like, your mugs are so cute. I want to buy one. I'm like, I just bought a couple for the podcast. I guess I can order some more. So I guess I'm going to have these for sale. I don't know how. I will figure it out and let you guys know if you want one. But yeah, I love my little cup. I watercolor painted this. So yeah, made by me. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Tell your stories. They're important. I would wait if you're your kids, I would wait till they're a little older. Until if you were a feral child like me, I waited till mine were, much older, like after 16, till I started telling all these stories because I didn't want it to be like, oh, well, mom did it. I can do it too. Well, thank you guys so much for being here every week. I have some guests coming on in the next couple weeks. So I hope you guys look forward to seeing and doing that. And thank you guys so much and love to all.